deliverable, but I'm not sure when is the due date.
The homework, which homework, sorry?
When you enter Moodle, there's a task that says, I think it
Oh,
was,
tareas.
yeah,
Yeah, you don't have to submit it. Did I say you have to submit it? Oh, no,
yeah.
it's just for you. Sorry, it must be confusing. You don't have to submit that. I
Okay,
didn't have a
no
deadline.
problem.
It's just for you. Um, maybe it's because I don't know what I did there. Yeah, it's just for you for practice. Um, that's funny that I did that.
Okay, no problem. Thanks for the
Download it
clarification.
and prepare it, and you don't have to send it to me. Does it actually say for you to send it to me?
Yeah, it says that the professor will establish the due date.
Oh, sorry. No, it's just for you to do. It's because I used to have the students submit it, but I never had time to grade it. So I have a different method. I'm going to use Connect. But this gives you an idea. This is all in Spanish too. And it's just more practice. And the solutions are available right underneath. So let me show everybody what I'm
Thank you.
talking about. Um, Right, so you can see here the module 2. So let's review what I expected from you. Let me put it in student mode. All right, so I put the recording from last week up at the top, and I'll do the same today. I'll put the recording at the top. We are reviewing module 2. We're going to talk about module 2 today, but with the extra time, we can say something about module 3. So we'll be started. I've put here the textbook chapters you can review, and I will put up an assignment that will be due next week, towards the end of the week. Don't spend all week on the assignment. It's just for practice. Let me see. Let me confirm what I'm saying here. Okay, so what do I have? Yeah, assignments in Connect, 10%. I won't, not all of them will count. I'll just take a portion of them for your grade. Okay, so if you miss one, it's not the worst thing. But try and do all of them. Okay. So the Connect assignment will come from these chapters here. And I think you should use them as reference. I think you should just try the assignment and then go into the textbook if you have questions. Because there's a lot extra material, because I have chapter 12 listed here, and it's much more advanced and talks about a lot of things that are not relevant. But it's, as I explained last class, many textbooks and many courses teach about data at the end, not at the beginning. And I teach about data collection at the beginning. Okay, it's the way I learn, and it's logical that you teach about data collection at the beginning. All right, so also these you must, okay, I put it in bold here. You must watch those videos to be able to answer the questions that I pose throughout the lecture notes, and so you can follow along. I didn't bold them in the rest, but these are just for reference if you want to see the videos from the old series here. And again, statistics is 100 years old, over 100 years old. The videos are almost 30 years old now. No, maybe 25. And they still have the same pertinent information. So you just have to put up with the fashion difference, but the language is just the same as today. All right. So this is the information on how to get the textbook. Anyone having problems with that, let me know. It looks like about 10 people registered, so that's good. They got their license. And I have it set on module 2. So module 1 is just some housekeeping topics. Okay, so I want you to watch these, right? These ones at the top. And then these 4 videos. These are the notes in Spanish and English. And then there's this set that are like the solutions to the problems, but only in English. I haven't put them in Spanish. I think most people can get that. I don't see the pages, the pages are the same, identical, so you can follow along in the Spanish notes. These are older videos, but it's the same material. If somebody wants to watch another pass at the material, you can watch these, but that adds on 2 hours. Then I put this tarea here, which was an old one, and the solutions here, and it's funny because I still have it in this format, but anyway, you don't have to submit it. It's just for you, but this is what I used to ask them to do. I should probably fix that to avoid confusion.
Professor, so for this module, we didn't have connect exercises.
Yeah, no,
right?
I'll put it on, I'll put it up today, and they'll be due for next week.
Okay. And also, I actually did submit something, so just ignore that. Because
You submitted it to me? Oh, that's great.
yeah, and then I compared the solutions because I thought, because it said like that there was a limit to submit it to submit it yesterday by midnight. So I was like,
Oh, you
okay.
saw a date? You saw a date in the, sorry about that.
It actually said like limit time to hand it, but it's okay because it was good practice.
There
Like
was
what?
a date. Oh, well, no, this is an old date. Oh, it's so confusing. I'm so sorry. Anyway,
No
anything
worries.
like that, just let me know, because it's an artifact of the website. It's from last semester or 2 semesters ago. All right, so then there's these this homework and the homework solutions. I made some notes in here, and these are just multiple choice problems. You guys can see it when I open it. It's just multiple choice problems. This is what your test will look like. The test will have multiple choice problems and then a few written problems. The final exam will have more in terms of short answer problems, not all multiple choice, but the midterm will be multiple choice mostly. So okay, you guys can see my screen, right? I always have to check what you can see. All right, so I was asked to do what? Let's see what it was. Quiz 3. Okay, so quiz 3, exercise 4. How many of you got through the quiz?
I did, but I had multiple tries. I don't know if anyone else relates to that. Like
Yeah, I did too.
So yeah, you just you can try it as many times as you want, and you get 40 minutes just to give you an idea. You should be able to finish it in 40 minutes, 10 minutes each. It shouldn't take you that long either. All right, so it will grade it, and then it will tell you if you have the wrong answer, so you can try it again and try and get the right answer. It will not tell you the right answer, or it shouldn't, so it forces you to do it again to get the right answer. So should we try this one? Number 4. You're going to run a field experiment to investigate the effects of 4 fertilizers on the yield of wheat. You have 40 plots of land available and wish to run a block design. Okay, so most students do not capture, or they don't really understand the block design concept. So should I go back and review that a little bit before we answer this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Okay, let's go back to the notes. Oh, you can see this. All right, you can see the notes. So the block, so I'm just using the annotated set of notes. I do discuss, I think, most or all of this on the video. You can tell me if there are any gaps. Okay, I introduced the idea of block design after talking about the matched pairs. And the matched pairs can use, as the example I take is the Coke versus Pepsi, the matched pairs can use the same person to ask or to try, in this case, the Coke and Pepsi. So it's the same person basically the group or the pair has the same person trying both treatments. And in between, possibly the person has maybe cleared their palate so that they're not influenced by the previous taste. And the tasting is randomized. So anyway, watch that because I explain or describe the matched pairs design, Coke versus Pepsi. The matched pairs design is an example of the block design. The block design is motivated by, well, it's really by an efficiency purpose. So I gave the example of this one here. Let me make this bigger. So let's say, oh, won't let me go any bigger. Okay. All right. Let's say, can you just see? Let me make sure you're seeing what I see. All right, I'm going to show that. All right, so imagine that this is this is the experiment. The volunteers are randomized into 3 groups. So a list of the volunteers is made, and they are numbered, they're labeled with numbers, and then a random assignment, randomly choosing numbers will put them in the different groups. And group 1 will get therapy 1, group 2 will get therapy 2, and group 3 therapy 3. And one of these is it could be the control group. So you differentiate or you separate the phenomena of just being part of the experiment and that influencing or changing patient outcomes. And the other 2 are an old and a new treatment. And I explained that women are more sensitive to the treatment because of they have, you know, they operate, or there's 3 hormones that affect women. And with men, there's only 1 hormone. So the imbalance or the change or the impact on women is much more unpredictable, let's say. So there's going to be a different effect on women than men. Knowing that in advance, you could do something as opposed to risking that group 1 ends up, it could be that group 1 is all women and group 2 is all men. And you want to avoid that. The only way to avoid that, knowing that in advance, is to either collect a lot of volunteers before you randomize and begin the experiment to make sure that you have a mix of men and women in each group. If you don't, you're going to be confused, or it's going to be confounded whether it's the treatment that causes a difference in the group of outcomes, or if it's the gender that causes a difference in the group outcomes, okay? So to avoid that cost, instead, the experiment is separated. Men are separated from women, and enough men and women are collected so that you could have what they consider enough in each group. Now, what is enough is not a question for this course. Until the end, we're going to talk about sample sizes. But in terms of this, essentially, it's a statistical question. You need a stats expert to figure out what is enough to have in each group. But as far as you know, the biggest problem here was that you risked having no representation of men and in one group, or no representation of women in any of the groups. So that's just going to mess up and confuse your results. Okay, so the blocking here is just it's a natural phenomenon. It's just a man is a man and they end up in this group, a woman is a woman, they end up in this group.
I have a question.
Yes, Christina?
I couldn't find where the little hand is to
Oh,
raise
sorry,
it.
go ahead.
So there will be 2 units? Or are these 2 factors?
Okay,
I
so
mean-
okay, so let's see what we have here. So I haven't even mentioned how many participants. That will be the units.
Oh,
There are actually 3 factors because, or sorry, there's 1 factor, 3 treatments, like 3 levels of the factor. So the factor is the therapy, and you have 1, which is like the new drug, 2 is the old drug, and 3 is the control group, no drug.
okay, so it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be 6.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. No, it's 1, 2, and 3. And so three treatments, and 2 a block, 2 blocks, men and women. So you repeat the experiment, 1 for men and 1 for women. So the important thing here is that, wait, there's 2 things. 1, the blocking feature is just a natural thing. It's not something that you invent, or you don't randomize. You don't create a block out of randomizing people. You create a block out of a characteristic. So the feature is gender, the phenomena or the characteristic is gender. And then you randomize all the men into all the groups. So that's the second thing. So first, the blocks are created by, it's a natural division or separation. The randomization happens within the block, and every treatment is in each block. So you have all 3 in block for men and all 3 in block for women. So those are the 2 main things that are going on here. So when
And there
we,
will,
Christina?
there will be 3 results for each block.
So there will be 3 results for each block that we compare.
Okay, I think I'm thinking of other questions that you asked to separate each of the parts. So I'm trying to find it here in this.
And you know what? Your questions are fine. I mean, students have trouble with this part. I don't spend too much time on it, but maybe it needs a little more attention, right? Let's try that exercise and see if we can figure out what I'm trying to get at with it. Okay, so back to this one. All right, so we're going to run a field experiment to investigate the effect of 4 fertilizers, A, B, C, and D, on the yield of wheat. You have 40 plots of land available, and you wish to run a block design. Okay, so now when you read this, the blocks have to be some sort of characteristic or feature, and that divides them. Okay, so let's see. Randomly put the 40 plots of land. So see, that's the keyword. That's the problem. Randomly put 40 plots of land into 4 blocks. You don't randomly put them into blocks. Blocking is a characteristic. So let's skip A for now. B, put the 40 plots of land into 10 blocks of 4 plots each, with the 4 plots within a block being as similar as possible. So that sounds like it might be a good one. And then randomly assign the 4 fertilizers to the 4 plots within each block. So over here, when we were looking at this exercise, men are a block because they're more similar in terms of hormones than women as a block. That's what's dividing them. Okay. Okay, let's read the next one. Randomly put the 40, see this word randomly just gives it away that's not, you don't randomize into blocks. Well, blocking is a characteristic, so that one's out. You only randomly assign the treatments, the participants to treatments in the blocks. Okay, so A and C are out. Put the 40 plots of land into 4 blocks of 10 plots each, with the 10 plots within a block being as similar as possible. Then randomly assign a fertilizer to each block. Does that sound good? Think about it. I know it's going kind of fast. I'll let you read it. Eddie Bell.
I actually chose that one first, but but then I realized why I was like, como que that is not the best choice because you because you can have for each plot instead of having 10 plots each. And because our blocks would be the fertilizers, it would be better to have 4 plots of land because that way we can compare them.
Well, the problem with this one is it says randomly assign a fertilizer to each block. And I told you when it comes to blocks, the blocks get all the fertilizers or treatments. Each block gets all the treatment. And this is saying pick one randomly. So that's wrong. That's why that one is wrong. It says randomly assign a fertilizer to each block. And we don't do that. Just like here. All of the treatments or fertilizers are in each block. It's like a screenshot here. It's the same thing, except this is for men, this is for women. So we don't pick just one treatment for the block. We use all of them. In other words, all fertilizers. So it can't be D. Did you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, so you know, could it be D if it did not have the randomly assigned part?
Well, okay, let me get the right answer and then we'll go back. So far, all I have left, okay, A is out, C is out because it says put them randomly into blocks. So those are out. D is out because it says randomly assign one fertilizer to each block, which is wrong. You have to, all fertilizers should be in each block. So we're left with B and E. So randomly assign the 4 fertilizers to the 40 plots and then put them into 4 blocks of 10. No, that's all. So we fall back on B, I think. Is B the answer? Okay. Okay, are you guys following? So let's go back to this example again. Let me repeat what I said. The 2 main things here is that the block is not randomly determined. Blocking is a characteristic that divides participants or units. And then within the block, all treatments must exist. So with those 2 characteristics, you guys will be able to answer these questions. Okay, those are the 2 main things. Have any of you been in a clinical trial before? Anyone? Let's see the chat. If you have the opportunity to be like I wouldn't do a drug trial, but I would do a vitamins or supplement trial or like an exercise trial just to go through the experience, just to have an insight, as our world is very much based on data and experimentation. So it's good to know what's behind. It's a whole different thing to be part of a study. I'm going to put up the chat so I can see if anybody comments. Okay. All right. So back to here. So I would pick B because it says put the 40 plots of land into 10 blocks of 4 plots each. It doesn't say anything about the characteristic, but it does say that the 4 plots within the blocks have to be as similar as possible. So it's just like the men being, in terms of what we're studying, men hormones are more similar as a group than men and women. So women are a separate set within a block being as similar as possible. And then randomly assign the 4 fertilizers to the 4 plots within each block. You see? So now do you see it's clearly this one?
Yes, my actual mistake was thinking that the fertilizers were the blocks.
Yeah, no. So the fertilizers are the treatment. So you gotta, yeah. So treatment is the fertilizer. It's not easy because you guys don't think in this language, but practice, keep practicing. You'll see the pattern. Okay, so I think it's B. Let's see. Oh no, I didn't do the rest of it, so I won't know. Okay, forget it. I was gonna let it grade it, but no. So I'll just skip that. I'll go back to the course.
But it actually was B.
It's B. Okay, thanks for checking. So I think I think the quizzes are a good representation of the test for the most part. There's some really hard problems in the quiz, but few. And usually I discuss them and you'll probably see them in the videos, or if not, you can discuss it with me during the class. Okay, so from module 2, you should have attempted the tarea, reviewed your solutions, tried the homework, checked your solutions, and tried the quizzes. If you didn't finish it yet, you should try and finish them today. Let's look at the notes and let me see if there's anything outstanding that people want me to review. So let's go through. From the top.
Yeah, I have a question, or maybe it gets me very confused. The multi-stage sample and the stratify random sampling. I don't know
That's
if
another place
you
that
have.
students get confused. Well, let me get there. I'll
Ugh.
get there in a minute. Let me see if there's anything here. If you guys want to stop me that you didn't
Okay.
understand,
Perfect.
you understood this one.
Actually, I have a question about that one. The
Okay.
first page. In the videos, you ranked number 3 and 4 as ordinal,
Yes.
categorical and ordinal, but I didn't understand why 3 and 4 are ordinal. Like, why does rank matter here?
Okay, so it's the wording of the question, how dark. It creates a gradient. It creates like a supremacy, you know, that the darkest is black. Right? And then it goes down. So that's why they're in order.
Okay, yeah.
It's
that
really
makes sense.
tricky, but so sometimes, you know, I have to point out that you have to, it's not just about color, it's about rank, because I said how dark. So this is the darkest. So there's a gradient. There is a scale. Josue, you said rate? About ratings?
Sí, lo coloqué como una palabra, o sea, como describir que hay colores más negros que otros. O sea, que está hablando de cuán
Exactly.
negro es el color.
Yes, it's like a rating, higher or lower. Yeah, okay. It's a scale. Yeah. So okay, and the other one, how often do you exercise? So this is categorical, not quantitative, because look, you can't put a number on the groups. Less than once is not a clear number. Once or twice is not a clear number. Is it 1? Is it 2? I don't know which number it is. More than
So-
twice is not a clear number. So when it's not a clear, when it's a group of numbers, then it's categorical, and it's ordinal because the last one is more exercise. So they are so the point I usually make here is to say, well, I like to point out that probably if you've answered a survey in your lifetime, it's been this kind of a survey where you're picking out of a category. It's not actually quantitative. Now, this question is a very sensitive question. People don't like to talk about their income. They don't like to give that information away unless it's a credit card company or something reliable. Not even so much these days with all the hackers, but you want to keep that information private. So to actually generate responses, because they might have non-response, they allow for categories. So what it comes down to is, even though that's the case, that surveys are mostly like this, categorical data is collected. In this class, we focus on analyzing quantitative data. I don't spend time analyzing qualitative or categorical data. However, I make the point that rank or order data is better to analyze, or you can get more information if you collect it in a ranked way. than if it's just categorical. You can make pie charts, you can make bar charts, you can make graphs out of this data, but it's hard to do sort of a relational analysis like we're going to do in terms of inference, like to try and make predictions or say something about behavior. And not hard. I mean, it's just you need more sophisticated statistics to do it. And I don't have time in the class to do that. But just to let you know, it's like a warning, I guess, because when you get data like this, to try and just analyze it using the techniques that I'm teaching you, it's wrong. You'd have to actually consult somebody to help you do any deeper analysis. But you can definitely make bar charts and pie charts and descriptive statistics like you're going to learn in the next module. But to try and make predictions with this sort of data takes more sophisticated statistics than what we learn in this class. It's not hard. It's just like a next course in categorical data analysis. All right. So just pointing that out, just to make you aware of what we're doing and what we're not doing. Okay. So, okay. Did I answer questions? Did I create more questions?
You actually did explain it very well. Thank you. Because I was confused, but no, I totally get it. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, let's keep going. So then I talked about experiments. I referred to the videos. If you didn't see the videos, you're not going to be able to answer these questions. So make sure you watch those old videos. And you understood the lurking variables. And then I spend time on experiment and talk about this one and solve these problems. Just stop me if there's anything you want me to go into, you don't feel like you have the answer. And
Can we go, I'm sorry,
yeah, no, go ahead.
can we go to page 11 to the aspirin and beta carotene
Yes,
experiment? It has to do with levels of factors, and then at the end there's like
Yes.
a
Yes.
so these are not blocks yet, or
No
are
blocks
they?
here, no. These are just two factors. One is aspirin and one is beta carotene with two levels each.
But it's not, the factor will be the combination of both, and then the amount it increases, right? So
The treatment will be the combination of both. Yeah, the factors
Mhm.
are separate in what am I going to call it? We're imposing aspirin and we're imposing beta carotene, but they're distinct factors that we want to study. And then, crossing them is going to create a treatment. And the assumption is here that the body's reaction to aspirin doesn't affect, enhance, or detract from the effect of beta carotene. That's a big assumption, but
okay, so there are two factors and there are 4 levels. Then one, they just the normal dose, and then the other one.
well, each one has 2 levels. Each has 2 levels, so a total of 4, but we don't count that. So it's going to be factor 1 with 2 levels and factor 2 with 2 levels.
Okay.
So that's why it's 2 times 2 down here. Number of levels of factor 1 times number of levels of factor 2. So that's why it's 4. I appreciate the question. I know when I learned this, I was confused. So no blocking here. If I believe that women responded differently to aspirin and beta carotene, and then I would have to study men and women separately, and that's a block. And you'd have the box or the 4 treatments for each one, men and women, in the block. Okay, is that good? Okay. Let's keep going. And we can try some more problems. Like that in my my extra problem set that I have. Okay, let's get down. So now we're at the question that Wilmari, was it, asked about the stratified, right? So I take this largely from the video. So in the video, they have a map, right? They show a map and they explain that to study a population or households, they begin by explaining that you want representation from the rural communities. Now, there's less people living rurally, but you want to be able to interview them. You want representation from the rural community. Oh, Carolina, you have a question. Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat. The control group, if you have a control group, no, okay, so I'm going back. Let me scroll back for a moment. Sorry, everybody. Go back to this one. So, okay, so here, the control is a level. That's the interesting thing. So here, factor 1 is aspirin. It's a factor. And then the factor is you're going to get, sorry, the level is you're going to get beta carotene, or sorry, you're going to get aspirin or you're not going to get aspirin. Those are the two levels. And so the placebo for aspirin is here, but the placebo for both is in this treatment. So this treatment, they don't get any of the, sorry, this, yeah, that treatment group is not going to get any of the actual vitamin or aspirin. They're going to get the placebos. So that would be the total control group. The other ones are half control group, right? Because they have, this one has no real aspirin. Am I answering your question, Carolina? Okay, back to stratified. All right, so let's talk about, okay. So the issue in the video, they explain that if you want to study and you want representation from households in all regions of the country, you want the suburban people sampled, you want the urban residents sampled, and you want the rural residents sampled. But similar to what I was saying for the volunteers in an experiment, what you risk is if you just wait, in terms of the experiment, I said you have to wait for volunteers to come and then you assign them randomly to the different treatments. The problem there is you might not have any women show up in one of those treatment groups. So you have to sample more to avoid a problem of just having to have many more people available for the study. You initially divide men and women. You look for men, you look for women, and that way you can more efficiently you can ensure that there's no confounding effect within your treatment groups, and all that you're testing that's different is actually the treatments, not the characteristics of the people in the groups. Okay, so similar here. So blocking in experiments are similar to strata in sampling. It sounds the same. It's the same sort of concept, but this is for sampling, not for waiting for volunteers that I'm going to put into blocks and then randomize into treatments. Okay, so it sounds very similar. So if you understood that one, you can understand this, where what we're doing then is we are going to sample from each region or each of suburban, urban, and rural residents. So that's stratification. Multi-stage sampling goes another step further. So just to recap, stratification, the purpose is to ensure representation. Because so few people live in rural communities, if you were going to randomize from a census list of residents or households, it could be that you don't get any rural people to interview or survey. And that's the risk. To avoid that, we divide our list into suburban residents, urban residents, and rural, and then we sample the same amount from each, or some percentage from each, let's say. Probably just enough so the statisticians will figure out just enough to get a fair representation. What you want to make sure is in each of the groups you have a representation from that region. Okay, so multi-stage solves a different problem, okay? But you could have both problems in your analysis. In fact, the NORC has both problems because they're sampling from the entire United States population, so they have to care about both. Okay, so the second problem is having an up-to-date list of households. So let's say you are going to try and sample households to interview them about fruit and vegetable consumption, and you estimate in some country, there's 18 million households. Well, if you try and get an up-to-date list of 18 million households with proper addresses, it's going to be very unstable, right? It's not going to be accurate from day to day or week to week or month to month. It's going to change. People move, especially 18 million of them. There's going to be a portion of those people that are transient, are leaving or moving. And so you're going to have very quickly an obsolete list. So to avoid that, we go within, we operate with lists that are a constant or stable or don't change. So, and we approach the households in each stage, and we get closer and closer. So in the first stage, we determine that so in Puerto Rico, there's 78 municipalities. You might work with that, or you might work with, anyway, there might be some other way that the municipalities are divided into regions. So the water authority might work in different regions. So let's say we had identified 30 different regions in some country, and then we sample from that. We make a list of all those regions. We label them because there's 2 digits, it's 01, 02, all the way to 30. And then we randomize and choose. In this case, it's recommended that you choose a third. So you take 10. So you take 10 and you have 10 regions. So with those regions now, setting aside the others, then you start to label a characteristic or a unit, again, that you easily can make a list of. So you easily make a list of the communities. The communities are pretty stable. There's not new communities sprouting up every week or month or even year, right? So it's very stable. You make a list and you number. And let's say I made it just simple here. I said there's 30 communities in each region. So you start numbering 01, 02, all the way to 30. And then you put the 30 numbers into a hat and you randomize, or you use a random digits generator, and you select 20%. 20% of 30 is 6 each. So you're going to select 6 from each of the 10 for a total of 60 communities. Then in those 60 communities, you go to the communities and you get a list of the addresses or the streets or the block names of those communities. And let's say there's 200 blocks in each community, and then you randomize 001, 002. You make all the labels and you randomly select. Let's say we figured out that 2% is good enough. 2% of 400 is 4 from each of the 60 communities. So we have 240 blocks. Finally, we have 240 blocks, and we're going to make a list of households. And on each block, it's very easy. Even if somebody moves throughout the study, because we've narrowed it down to 240 blocks, we'll be able to identify the new residents, because we're looking right at the block region. We're not just, anyway, so we have contacts. They're going to help us. We're going to get a list of all households, and we're going to randomly select 5%. So 5 from each of the blocks. So rather than 18 million households, we're really we only have to identify 1,200 households for an interview. We don't have to randomize among 18 million. We've just randomized by step or stage by stage, zeroing in on the households. So we're going to interview 1,200, and we're going to, it's 100 households on each block. Okay, maybe I have to be more careful. So it's 100 households on each block, 240 blocks. It's actually 24,000. Okay, so I'm wrong there. So rather than 18 million, it's 24,000 that we have to list and identify addresses or contact information for, as opposed to 18 million. I did the wrong math because we only have to interview 1,200, but we have to get addresses for 240 blocks, 100 households on each. So 24,000. So the difference then, multi-stage resolves the problem of having, of not having a up-to-date list that you can label. And stratification resolves the problem of representation, that you just might select, you might not even select and represent one of the regions. Is that okay? So students usually don't get that. They get stuck there. And then when I give them this quiz, they don't get it right. So that's usually the case. So this question,
Thank you.
yeah, it's very common. Like it's very few students get it. But if you watch the video again, you'll see it makes more sense, because it kind of goes fast and you're not sure what they're talking about. But they do the two things with the census. So census data or large scale government surveys will have both multi-stage and stratification. And what they're doing at each level for this multi-stage is simple random sampling within each stage. Okay, so is there anything else here?
I have a question regarding the upward and downward bias.
Yeah, that's another place that students are not so sure. So let's comment. So upward and down here. So I introduced it. It's not in the video, upward and downward bias, but it's really important because there is no perfect study. Okay, there's no perfect experiment. There's no perfect survey. You're going to run into issues, and you're going to have to answer for those problems. So if you have people not answering a survey, you need to talk about how that might bias your results, or may have biased your results. So you have to write a report in the end, or you have to answer to a supervisor in the end, and you have to talk about the limitations of your study. It's pretty much expected in any kind of academic report or academic paper that you discuss the limitations. And you should be able to identify how lack of response may have biased your results. Is it going to does it mean that your numbers are underestimating, or does it mean that they're overestimating? So that's why I fit this in here, this discussion of bias. Okay, so what is your question?
I was trying to figure out, for example, when do I know it's downward? Because yeah, that was
Yeah, so you can state it in a way. So I flipped a few of these. You could say it as upward or downward, depending on the preamble or the sentence that you make before it, right? So it can go either way, depends on what you're looking for. So when we talked about, or when we saw that regarding the lack of prediction for Roosevelt, so let's review that. In the video, they explain that it was a surprise when FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, was elected, because the huge poll that was conducted and published showed that Landon would beat Roosevelt. And essentially the poll was underestimating Roosevelt's win because those questions, the survey question was asked to people who were wealthier and more likely to favor the other candidate, Landon versus Roosevelt. Roosevelt was a Democrat, and so they just focused on people who were not Democrats or who were wealthy, and they supported the Republican candidate. So in that case, now I can say this two different ways. I could say it was bias upward towards people who could afford cars, or it was bias downward against Roosevelt. You could say it two different ways. So is that resolving your confusion? So yeah, it depends how you say it. So if it's extra, it's higher. In this case, the percentage that supported Landon was higher than it should be, so it was biased upward. So that's how I say it. It's higher than it should be, so it was biased upward. Or in other words, Roosevelt's result was lower than it should be, so it was biased downward. I could say both things.
Okay, thank you.
So go with this sentence here, bias upward, if the result is greater, higher than it is actually the case, and bias downward. Just these definitions can help. And you could say it both ways if you just change the sentence in your favor. Okay, so you're ready for some questions? Different questions? So what I'll do is I'll put up the question and give you some time, and then we will discuss your answers. I'll try and find, it's like a list of old midterms. And let me share it. All right, so why don't you try this one? I'll give you 5 minutes. You can get a drink of water, tea, or whatever is coffee, whatever you drink. So I'll give you 10 minutes. Let's take a little break too. So read that through. And we'll come back in 10 minutes. Okay, I'm back. All right, let's see. Put it in the chat what you think the answer is. Okay, well, let's see. Everyone has their vote. Okay, by majority, it looks like here A is the answer, and it is right. A is the correct answer. Let's see what the others pick that didn't pick A. Some people.
Professor.
Go ahead. You said E.
I actually wanted to choose B, but that's wrong. I actually wanted to choose, sorry, the one that had, which one was it? I don't know. I actually wanted to choose C because wait, the one that it was so original, but no. Oh yeah, never mind. But I was confused because with the country code, sorry, they como que they use numbers,
Mhm.
but the numbers are not ranked. So that's why it's nominal, the country code.
Yeah, so the country code is a number, but they're not in any sort of order. There's not a, it's not like there's no rationale. There's no rationale to putting them. So Australia is 61.
Mm.
If you thought it was alphabetical order, the numbers obviously aren't, because that would be at the top and it's 61. So the codes are not ranked in any alphabetical or any certain way, any order by population. It's just a number. So that's why it's nominal. It's not clear. If it was clear why those numbers, France is 33 or Mexico 52. If it was more clear that there's an order ranking, you could choose that, but it's just not.
Okay.
So
But
you chose
I chose E, yeah, because I thought because they are being like 52 goes before 61, wouldn't that be a rank? Like Mexico goes before Australia?
well,
Or
why?
is it because the ranks need to mean something?
It needs to mean the numbers, like that there are numbers, but the order of the numbers doesn't have a meaning here. Like, why is France 33? Why is Australia 61? Why is Mexico 52? Is it by population? It's no rank order explanation. They're just numbers. You could put them in order, but they wouldn't mean anything.
Can you put them in order like the premise says, a country code and phone number? And that's why
When making international phone call, you must dial the country code followed by the phone number but the country code is the variable we're interested in. So, okay, so remember, okay, so when we have an order, when a variable is ordered, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 mean something. So 1 could be the best, or it's the worst, or it's the highest, or it's the lowest. Like it's on, they mean something. But 33 for France, what does it mean? It just means France. It doesn't mean it's the highest or it's the middle or it's the lowest. It doesn't tell me anything about ranking. It just tells me a number. So, United States is 1. That's the country code 1. Is it 1 in United States? Oh, and Canada is 1 too. I mean, it's not listed here, but Canada and United States are both 1. What does it mean? Nothing. It's just the country code. Doesn't mean that they're the largest population or the smallest population or North America. And there's no explanation of it's the best or the worst at, because an order means one's top and one's the bottom. One's the highest or one's the lowest. That's not happening here. 33 is just a number associated with France. There's probably some logic to why they numbered it like that, but they're not, as far as we can see, the information is not provided on any order for these. If you were to put them in numerical order, you wouldn't see a pattern. At least with these three, it's not clear. They should be pretty clear, rather than you trying to guess why there's a pattern there. Okay, let's see. So some people picked B. Some person picked B. So Christina picked B. And okay, so B says categorical. Okay, comparing B and A. So let's see. Belt color. See, the color has a meaning here. The black belt is the best, so that's a ranking. So the darker the color, the better it is. So there's a ranking, it's better. So that's why that one is ordinal. That was kind of tricky. And then
I changed mine to B because then I thought that the country code was gonna be quantitative.
oh, okay,
And
so you have to switch.
yeah, but I
Yeah.
got
And it's not quantitative because these numbers, if I was to add France to Australia and divide or make an average, it means nothing. That's why it's not quantitative. It's just a category. They use numbers for coding, but then you can't add the numbers and have a meaningful statistic from them. So that's why it's not quantitative.
yeah, understood.
Okay, good. Okay, I hate to put you on the spot, but it's good to help clear it up in
Okay.
advance. Okay, let's see what else we can do. Okay, this is all for GDS. We can come back to this for next week as well. We'll look at this. I have to scroll through to the bottom. All right, here. A radio station in Springfield is giving away 7 tickets for a Krusty the Clown show. The following Springfield residents have entered a contest to try to win a ticket. You guys can do this, right? I'll give you 5 minutes. Is it hard to do this numbering on the screen? Yeah, I can pick a different question. Well, let's just not spend too much time.
Yeah.
Spend another couple of minutes, see if you can get it. By staring at it, it's not that easy. Give you a couple of minutes and then I'll talk about it. Okay, I'll start doing it at the same time as you're doing it. So the numbering is double digits. So I have to go in 2 at a time. I'm just going to put a bar between them. You can see it better. All right. So I've divided them 2 at a time. And I'm going to count. Okay, this one, 48 is not there. 93 is not there. 17 is. So 17 is Ottoman. Can I put a highlight? No. Okay, so that's 17. 50 is not there. 66 is not there. 80 is not there. 28 is there. Four. Anybody question what I'm doing here? 4, 32 is not there. 18 is there. 59 is not there. 17 is there. Oh, but I already did 17.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
That this, I did it with without replacement. So if 17 was already taken, I wouldn't put another name there.
Exactly. Yeah, without replacement. And then the next one is 16. That's right, Christina.
Okay.
I
got one right.
Again, 4 as well. Yeah. So 4 again. So we skipped that one. 22 and 28. 22. And 28. We already had it. Okay, how many do we have so far? We have 6, right? So the next one is the 7th. 25. So 25 is Principal Skinner. So this is the answer. Principal Skinner is A. Some people got it. So that's not easy. That wasn't easy to see. To organize yourself. I have a PDF editor, so it was easier for me. Because if you take a screenshot, you can mark it up, I guess. Anyway, whatever. I'll try and not give you ones like that. But anyway, we did one. We did one together. So yeah, if it repeats, you have to skip it. You don't include it. You can't repeat a participant in a survey. Those are without replacement.
Could you repeat this one because I got a little bit confused?
From which part? From the beginning?
Yes.
So from the top, I divided all the random digits in the digits table. I divided them into 2 because there are 2 digits in my labels up here. So I went through and I saw 48 is not one of the labels, so I can skip it, or I ignore it. 93 as well, I ignore it. So then I begin with 17. So 17 is number 1, so I mark 17. I'll change the color. How do I change the color? Change color, change color, change color. Okay, so 17. Then 50 is not on the list. 66 is not on the list. 80 is not on the list, but 28 is. So I change this one. It's 28. And then continuing 4 is on the list. So it's Lisa. And I continue 32 is not on the list. 18 is. So I pick Hans. 59 is not on the list. 17 is on the list, but I already picked 17, so I don't include that one again. 16 is next. 4 was already chosen, so I don't include it again. 22 is also on the list. And then the next one is 25. So 25 is number 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Questions. What else did you do, or what mistake did you make? You can share.
I skipped the first 28.
Oh, you missed it. So you had too many, or you didn't have enough, or you would have picked 9 then as a 7. Okay, disco. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, so let's try another one. You guys ready for a new one? Okay, let's try these two. This is about my hometown, Manitoba, Canada. Home province. Okay, so try 22 and 23. You can put it in the chat when you're done. Read carefully. Okay. Okay. Good. All right. So the first one, you just have to read carefully that this is a survey of Americans, right? This is a sample. We want to understand how Americans think about Canadians. So for 22, the population of interest, the people, the units we're surveying are Americans. So, okay, yes, you want to know about what Americans think of Canadians, but we're surveying Americans. Okay. So yeah, we're interested in knowing about Canadians, but the subjects are Americans. So I can see your confusion. The subject is American. The
Question.
Uh-huh.
So it says that that's exactly the purpose of the study, that they want to sample Canadian Americans, but who's to say that it's not a Canadian that answers the phone that lives in the United States?
Yeah, well, so remember
That's
I
the only
said
reason I chose
today
B. I
that
was like, it's either B or E. I was like, what if
Yeah.
it's someone that, you know?
Just remember, no study is perfect. Okay, so yeah, there can be
Okay.
mistakes, and we can talk about those little nuances. But in general, we
Okay,
expect that it's Americans that we will even if we don't do a perfect job, our goal is to summarize what Americans think.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
because
avoid rabbit holes.
yeah, or just don't complicate things, at least in this class. Obviously, you have an issue, a research issue. That's a research concern, right? That Canadians are going to be more like Canadians. Expats who left Canada and moved to the States might have a different opinion of Canadians, like me. So that's true, what you're saying. They might be more likely to answer the survey. So those are issues to be considered at a research level. But the intent here is to study American opinion.
Okay.
So, okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. I as a student, I used to always overthink things too. So, but that's really good for research. It's just for the course, just think of it on face value. Okay, so B is the answer for 22. Some of you said, okay, so some picked E. The subject of research, the unit that we're going to survey is the person in those states. Okay, so it is not the states that we're surveying, we're surveying people. So it's Americans, and they're intended to represent Americans. We are, Christina?
I was going to choose B, but then I said no, because the question, I mean, you're not considering Americans that live outside
50 states, yeah. Yeah, just continental. All Americans who participate. So we intend to represent Americans with this survey and their opinions in the 50 states. Yeah, so you picked E because it was 50 American states, but it should have said Americans in the 50 American states, but it doesn't say that. It's not about the states, it's about the Americans in those states. So yeah, maybe that sentence could be a little longer here. But yeah, all Americans in those 50 states. Well, you know, this is from Canada. The person who wrote this question, the professor doesn't realize it or doesn't recognize territories, I guess. So lack of knowledge. I didn't make this question. All right, so we used to have meetings and we'd make questions and share them. That's how we made these exams. All right, let's do 23. So what are some of the options? C, C, C. All right, so some people pick C, some people pick A. Okay, C and A look like they were the options, or D, some people pick D. Okay, so okay, let's see. It says here, a simple random sample of 20 people was contacted. Oh, wait, that sounds weird. A simple random sample of 20 people were contacted. I don't know. Anyway, something's wrong with the English there. So anyway, a simple random sample of 20 people was contacted from each of 50 American states. So 20 people in each state. That's what that says. Did anybody understand it differently? 20 people in each state. So it's 20 people in each state. So some people said it was stratified by state. I assume that's what they mean. It's stratified by state. And that is that the correct answer? It is the correct answer. Yes. So A is the correct answer. You guys can feel good about that. Some people picked simple random sample. It is a simple random sample, but per state. In each state, it's a simple random sample, but it's stratified. So this is the better answer. Okay, you always pick the best answer. And some people picked convenience sample because I guess they're thinking, well, it's not a convenience sample. I guess it's not completely clear, but we contact 20 people. So 20 people were contacted, presuming we have all the telephone numbers and we contact the 20. I guess if you think that, and this is the point of having you guys, when you send in your exams, you have to send me the, your thinking around it, because in this case, a person who says convenience sample is implying that you keep asking until 20 people answer the question. So some people might hang up the phone. So I see that maybe that's what they're getting at with the convenience sample. But the best answer is that it is a stratified sample. That's more what we're getting at, because it's not a convenience sample of all the American states. It's a convenience of 1,000 Americans. It's not a convenience sample of 1,000. It's a stratified sample. That's a better answer. But within each strata, I can see you're thinking that it's not exactly a simple random sample, but they keep asking till 20 respond. But that's not what we're getting at here. We're getting at the stratified feature of it. And in fact, when it says 20 people are contacted, only 20 are contacted. If they don't respond, that's recorded. They don't contact more than 20. Okay, so it's not a convenience. But I see how you could be confused. So yeah, when you have a simple random sample of 20 people to contact, the call center that's making the calls, or the staff that was hired to make the calls, will record if the person says, I don't want to answer the question. But they won't ask another person. They're going to stick with their sample. All right. It's really important. Non-responses are very important to record. If you've ever worked with survey data, there will always be like, it'll show the options. In this case, you're in favorable opinion of Canadians. It's probably like a survey is, do you agree with this statement? I strongly agree, all the way to I strongly disagree, and then some options for no response or uncertain, or some options like that. Aribel?
Yeah, so a convenience sample is like you keep asking until somebody
Exactly. So convenience sample is you ask until you get people answering the question, or they
And
just
that's
come
why
to you. They come to you. You sit at a kiosk and they come to you like this.
Okay, so that is why that is on Patrice here, because the people choose the 20 people.
They pick the 20, they go for them, and then we assume if the person doesn't answer, we can assume they just recorded non-response.
Thank you.
I know there's a lot behind it. You guys can ask me too in the test situation. You guys can text me if you don't understand a question. Okay, Buendia.
Professor, I had a question regarding the 22. My like solution was the E, because they say people of the two countries and the 50 American states, but they didn't include or made an como una excepción the immigrants, like they maybe not be all American.
Right. No, they're just saying exactly. Yeah. It's a very shallow kind of statement here, but I think, yeah, it should be just people living in the States. They shouldn't have said Americans, but yeah, people living in the States, 50 American states. His sponsor asked whether they have a favorable opinion as around. Yeah, I can see why you're saying that, but basically the assumption here is that what we're trying to do, even if we talk to Canadians or immigrants or tourists, we're trying to represent Americans. The survey definitely has its faults if they don't ask questions about or ask for a passport or something to get the American opinion. But the goal is to survey all Americans. We're not trying to survey states. We're trying to survey Americans, but we use the stratification to make sure that every state is represented. That's the issue there, okay? That's why they mentioned the 50 states. But I can see what you're saying, because she doesn't think they're going to get a really good representation of Americans, but they'll definitely get a good representation of the opinion of Americans in the states. But the idea is that we're trying to study Americans. Yeah, I can see your confusion. This is why, again, I want you to write down your decision. Like if for the multiple choice problems on the exam, some will be most will be calculations. The ones that are not calculation, you can use the space to justify. You can write it here or on separate pages, your justification for choosing the one that you choose. But the goal here is to speak about Americans, not about the American states. But I can see that I definitely can see your thinking. All right, so in that case, yeah, I would, depending, yeah, I'd probably give you part marks, a lot of part marks here. It's not very clear. This is it. Canadians wrote this question, so we're thinking. Okay, so another one. You ready? You guys can take a screenshot of the question so you can go back and look at it. Or it's going to be in the video. So if you want, you can go back to the video. I'm going to put up the video when we're done. All right, that one's too wordy. All right, let's try this one. Factors. Okay, so read this problem. What are the factors in this experiment? I'm going to turn off. I'll give you 10 minutes for this one.
Do we also have to send the answers through the chat when we're done?
Yeah, send the answers to the chat.
This feels like we're betting and waiting for the results.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, whatever it takes to get you guys to learn. Sometimes games are effective. You can think of it as betting and winning. All right, so we have, okay, so it looks like a lot of people chose A and D. All right, let's read this. A popcorn company would like to determine the optimum microwave setting for popping a bag of its popcorn. They will test 2 different cooking times and 3 different temperature settings. Okay, so how many factors are there?
Solo dos.
You have 2 factors.
Which ones? Time and temperature?
Yes.
Very good. So A is the answer here. A is the answer, 2 factors, right? But they have different levels, right? Different levels. So factor is different from treatment. The question here were the factors. So it's time and temperature. 3 bags of popcorn will be popped at each combination of factor levels in the same microwave with the order randomly determined. So how many treatments are there?
6.
6. How do you see 6?
Because you have 3
Oh,
with the 4 minutes and 3 with the 5 minutes. Because you have 4 minutes with low temperature, 4 with medium, 4 with high, and then you have 5 with low, 5 with medium, and 5 with high.
Right. So 3 times 2, right? 3 times 2 makes 6 treatments. So you have 6 treatments, and then you have to have 3 bags in each combination. So each of the 6. So 3 and 6 makes how many bags of popcorn? What's 3 times 6?
18.
18.
18. Okay, so you guys, you won A and D. Whoever said A and D, lots of you did. Do I need to write it down? So it's 3 treatments. I'll put it in the chat.
Can we do another one like these? This
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. So 6 treatments because you took 2 times 3 equals 6. And then 3 bags in each combination of factors. In other words, they're saying treatments. And all these numbers, like the number of bags, that's all determined by the statistician working with either the engineers, or it's an engineer with like an industrial engineer who knows statistics, knows to use 3 bags times 6 treatments equals 18 bags. I put it in the chat. All right, let's see what comes next.
Professor,
Yeah.
I have a question. When it comes to human, to like to experiments being done on humans, can we always assume that the placebo will be a level of the
Yes.
factor?
Yeah,
Okay.
it'll be a level of the factor. Yeah.
So
Right.
I always added per factor. Okay, thanks.
Exactly, for humans. All right, let's see. These ones are wordy. Let's try 28. All right, let's see. I'll just read it. I'll give you time. I'll give you enough time. I'll give you till 11, a few more minutes. What time does your next class start? At 11:30?
We do not take that class today.
You don't have ethics today?
No.
Okay. It's not every week?
Nope.
Okay.
It's only a few times. I think less than 5, or at least less than 6.
Okay.
I think it's through September the most times we are gonna meet with the other professor.
Okay. Alrighty? Okay. Let's read this together. An experiment is to be conducted to determine the effect of temperature on the adhesive strength of a certain type of glue. The glue will be applied to a material at either 10 degrees Celsius, 20 or 30. Temperature effect on the adhesive strength. Okay, 2 different types of material, metal and plastic, will be used. So it's the same glue that's being applied at a different temperature on 2 different metals. 2 different materials. There's 6 pieces of plastics and 6 pieces of metal for the experiment. The effect of temperature is expected to differ for the 2 materials, so a block design is used. Now remember what I told you about a block design. The blocks are characteristics known to, for the thing that you're interested in, those, that factor, that characteristic responds differently. So when I talked about men and women being different groups responding differently to hormonal treatment, we have to study men separate from women. And now here it's telling you that the plastic and the metal pieces will respond differently to temperature. The 2 materials respond differently to temperature. So the blocks are going to be the 2 materials. Okay, and the temperature is going to be applied to the 2 materials separately. So you have 6 of each. So you can actually apply the temperature to 2 of them, right? So 2 could be in each of the temperatures for each of the blocks. So which one is the answer? 3 blocks is wrong. It's not 3 blocks. It's going to be 2 blocks. Okay, so let's see B. 2 blocks consisting of 3 pieces of plastic and 3 pieces of metal. No, the blocks are actually plastic and metal. So which one says 2 blocks? D. 2 blocks, one consisting of 6 pieces of plastic, the other consisting of 6 pieces of metal. And it doesn't say the details that each of the 6, 2 of them will get the temperature, each temperature. So you're going to have 2 are going to get 10 degrees Celsius, 2 are going to get 20, and the other 2 will get 30 in each of the blocks. So you can rule out anything that doesn't say 2 blocks, because that one you can figure out. So most of you guys got D, so that's good. Most people got D. Okay, so you're better with the blocks. The block is a characteristic. Within the block, those units in the block are more similar in their response than units across the blocks. So that's why you have to separate them. So they're more similar in each block. Just like in stratified sampling, we want the people in the strata to be just similar to each other, and we want to make sure they're represented in the overall survey. So we stratify, we separate. Okay, everybody's good with that? Let's go to the next one. Let's do the drugs. Let's do the drugs. Oh. All right, this problem requires you to recall the matched pairs design. The matched pairs design that I described was where I talked about fertilizer plots, where you take two plots of fertilizer, otherwise identical in their exposure to the elements, and have the same types of minerals in the fertilizer. You take two plots side by side and divide them. And what did I just say? In the same type of nutrients in the soil. And then you want to divide them, split them in half, and then this pair will receive, one of the pair will receive both the treatment A and then, or the first treatment, and the other pair will receive the other treatment. So in that way, the pair is receiving all the treatments. That's how it works. So in this example, you're told about blood pressure. I want to compare two drugs that treat and lower blood pressure. You're going to use matched pairs, and you have 60 subjects. So then you have some options here. Let's go through them. A lot of people are picking D. Let's see what D says. Subjectively divide the 60 subjects into two groups according to their characteristics. So yeah, you want to combine, you want to put them in you really want to put them in pairs, because this is a matched pair, and you want the pairs, you want the people in the pairs to be similar, right? And this is saying putting 60 into two groups, as opposed to making pairs of two subjects per pair. So this is just dividing 60 into two groups, that's 30, and then giving half drug A and half drug B. This is not correct. The one that you want is this one. Subjectively divide 60 subjects. So that part that you read in D is good up until it says two groups. You want 30 pairs. That's what you want. And then within the pairs, you have the pairs 2 times 30, so you have 60 subjects. You're going to have to decide who gets A or who gets B. So you have to do that randomly. So you flip a coin to decide who gets A or B. So the pair is getting both treatments. But it's interesting you didn't pick any of the others, just D. D was very close, but no. You don't randomly give 30 people A and 30 people B. You want it to be randomized within the pair of two. You are close. Does that make sense? So the pair is two, not groups, two groups. And it does feel like a block because it's like a block design, but the block, it's like, well, the pair is like the block. Because you found people that are otherwise similar or identical. So it doesn't say it here, but the pair, the 30 pairs are like 30 blocks, but I didn't use the terminology here because the block is getting both treatments. Okay, so just that's how you identify a block, but I didn't use the language here. Might have helped be less confused.
Professor, it's like a block but inverted. Like that's how I make the conclusion to E.
To E, because it's like a block, but you mean inverted because it's just two rather than
Because
two in a block, but 30 blocks.
Yeah, because the 60 subjects are different, but I'm looking there's two similarities that is inverted to block, that I'm looking to characteristics that may affect the
result.
Opposite characteristic that may affect the results.
Yeah, That's a good way to think about it. Inverted. So you have, so I'm not going to say this was easy. I'm sure students didn't do this well, but you should know now, all right, that pairs, it's two. A pair, like a pair of shoes, or a pair of subjects is two. So you guys were close, but all right. Let's see if I can find another one. Try 29. So this will be the last one, unless you guys want another one with, are we good if this is the last one? Okay, okay. This is the last one. Then I just want to talk a little bit about next week. Okay, so I see everyone says this is an experiment. What would make it an experiment? What is the key feature of experimentation? There's three factors, right? The control, the randomization, and the replication. Is there any randomization here?
No, I think they're observing.
Excellent. Yes.
I got one right. I'm so.
No, this is your second one. You got another one right before. Yes. Okay. So don't be tricked. Even though they don't know what the purpose of the study is, there was no randomization. So it fails that. So you have to check. You have to have control. You have to have randomization and replication. There's no randomization here. So what's the problem? If students are able to choose if they want the online section or the in-class section, students who like online will pick online. Students that like in person will pick in person. So this may bias the results that they're picking. It's a self-selection problem. I think I mentioned it before. So you have a problem there because they're choosing to be in those sections. So it's hard to see if it's the modality that's the issue. So there's no randomization. If you randomize and force them into online or into the in-person, then you can actually test the effect of modality if it's the same professor. So the lack of randomization makes this no better than an observational study, which is still good, but it's not an experiment. So Christina got it right. Mm-hmm.
Professor, what is the difference between randomly and subjectively? Exactly. What is the difference?
Oh, no. Random is random and subject is you choose. So in this number 30 here, in number 30, when I say subjectively, that's where you match them. So you find pairs that are the same. That's not random. That you go and you look at the survey or the intake and you see patients that are similar with in terms of their vitals and whatever, weight and other things. Hypertension, degree of hypertension.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that's not random. That, like, again, men and women, right? That's not random. You're not assigned to be a man or to be a woman. That is, that's for this, the purpose of experiment, it's a reality. It's observable.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so you guys are fine with that. What I want to talk about is just next week and what you'll be expected to do. Okay, back to the Moodle platform. All right, so for this week, okay, so what I did here is I have the old video from June because I think the recording it didn't record, or I lost the recording, so I ended up putting so that's I'm using the conference or the meeting from down here. Or down here. I'm not sure which. So yeah, you start at 1 hour and 28 minutes. So you finish this, watch those videos, understand, review the notes, try the activities, all of that, and you'll be done unit 2, module 2, and try and finish that this weekend so you can start module 3. Module 3 is about so module 2 was about obtaining data, and module 3 is focused on graphing data and then calculating appropriate statistics depending on what you see in the patterns. So I have 5 hours of video here, and you're going to probably take more than just 5 to watch them, but they should cover the material. And then again, you have, so these are page by page edited videos that describe each one. So if you feel you're missing something or you didn't see it in the instructions, you go right to the page and watch the video that you need. And then you have some practice, homework, and quizzes. So this probably will be an 8-hour week to work on this. All right. So come prepared. We'll do the same thing. I'll go through any gaps that you have in understanding, and then we'll try some old exam problems together. How does it sound? Is that effective? Okay, so let's do that. And again, you don't have to come every week, but you're welcome every week. And I will record the videos for review, but you don't want to add too many videos to your to your number of hours of watching videos. So try and show up, and I'll leave before 11:30 so you can have your full day, the rest of your day.
Professor, do we have connect problems with this module?
And I will put up some connect problems for the last one, and then so they should not be hard. They should be easy. So I'll do the one before, so you should get through them quickly. And like I said, just attempt them. And then there's a gap, if you need to go in the book or the notes, read and go back. You can have many attempts at the connect problems. So you can enter and re-enter, or enter and exit and re-enter, and try several times to answer it. And then at the end, the deadline, the grades or your results will show, so you can review what you did. And I will leave it open so you can review from it for for the rest of the semester. I will put the Connect problems about this on next week. So that way you're ready when you have the Connect. You shouldn't waste time with the Connect. Connect is just to sort of, just summarize or to like wrap it up. They're not hard problems, but if you're studying to do the Connect problems, you're wasting time. The Connect problems should be very easy for you to do. They shouldn't be heavy. This material and my review is the more heavy set of material that I want you to master. Okay. All right.
We don't have to handle anything. It's just the quizzes. That is what we do.
Just
I'm
just the
part of-
attendance, participation, and then the Connect. Yeah. For Connect, the 10% is just Connect.
Okay.
But
And
you're
also
going
we
to prepare during the week so that when you do the Connect, you're ready.
Okay. Yes.
We have some for module 2. And you're gonna,
I'm going to put up module 2. Yeah. I'm going to put up module 2. So it'll be due before the end of the week. So
okay,
that, so like for Friday night, you should have it done. So then you can ask me on Saturday morning if you don't understand something.
okay.
So I'll be always, you should be able to be ready to do the Connect exercises. So spend your time reviewing the material. And next week, just keep a record of any gaps or your lack of understanding, and we'll discuss it.
Professor, just to make sure, the Connect exercises you will put up today is from Model 2, and then the next week when we are done with the discussion of Model 3, you will put up the
Connect.
Connect. Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Yes, and it is basically the Connect from module 2 and the quizzes. I mean, like
The quizzes. Oh, I'm not going to grade.
the quizzes.
Yeah, I'm not going to grade. The quizzes are just for you. Everything is for you. Just the Connect will be graded and your participation in class. I'll record your participation and that will be 10%. And I told you only have to come to 5, but I welcome you to all the. I'm not wasting your time. I'm trying to advance you in the session. So.
For next week, we need to have the module 2 and 3 ready.
Yeah,
Both.
module 3 should be ready next week. Let me see my schedule that I have up. So what do I have here? I have that module 3 should be ready because it's September 2nd next week, is it? So module 3 should be ready for next week.
And the readings too, from the book.
Oh, no, the book is just a reference. You don't have to read the book. That is just a reference. That is just because I'm going to pick questions from there for the quiz. So you go back to those sections to look for the answers or to learn, but you should know how to do them. From everything you learn in my material, you should be able to answer the quiz without problems. But I'm referencing there the textbook sections for your reference, for your review of the book. Okay, you don't have to read the book. That's an extra thing. It's just a reference textbook.
Regarding to the videos that we watched, I thought that we would go through them because they have like basic concepts, and for me it was really important to understand that.
Well, did you watch the videos? Because
I watched it, yes, I watched it from 1 to 18, and they were very good. And I just had like some questions, like because I saw that the statistics had some random factors. I think on video number 6, there was some supplement that they need for some information, and they used music. And that was curious for me, like how they could use something from another field completely different to supplement statistics.
Okay.
So, I don't know, I just would like that we didn't talk about the videos, and the videos were really interesting. And
No, we only talk okay, so for module 2, I said to watch 15 to 18, 15, 16, 17, 18. Those are the videos I wanted you to watch, and those were the videos I focused on. For module 3, I include here in the platform that you can watch videos 1 to 6. But I'm not going to discuss them. I didn't bold them. It's not required, but we
Okay.
can talk about it. I mean, I can have a look at it and we can talk about it. I don't remember. I watched those a while ago. The only ones that I focus on are 15 to 18 for the class, but we can talk about, you said video 6?
Yeah, I think it was video 6. They talk about the music. The
Okay,
supplemental
I'll have a look
music.
at that and we can talk about it next week. Or you can maybe, well, I'll remember. I'll remember. I'm just saying, send me an email about it, but no, I'll remember. Yes,
Yeah, it's
I
video
think those
6. It's
videos
about
are,
the standard deviation. In a
Yeah.
standard deviation, that was the subject.
yeah, so that's going to be covered in module 3, standard deviation. Okay, so
Thank you.
now you're going to spend this week, you're going to watch the videos and covering the module 3 lecture notes, and then you can also watch these videos, and we can talk about that next week. We have time.
All right.
Okay, thank you. So I think it's going to go smoothly. You just have to remember you need 6 to 8 hours to complete the unit. Do not let it build up, or the module. Do not let it build up. You will feel very frustrated. This trimester goes very quickly. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Any more comments or questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you so much, and
you.
thank you for your participation and enthusiasm. And we will see you next week. If you have any questions, just email me and we'll keep in touch.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.